Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and on YouTube here, my wife Kathy and I show you guys our reselling business, all the ins and outs. But in this video and in this series, the goal is to be able to convert a school bus into an RV, or what's known as a Skoolie, by me, an amateur reseller. My wife is very much the professional reseller, but by me reselling my way to fund the project and the build. And that's what this series is all about. Today, I'm going to share with you the steps that I took to get to our very first milestone, which is the paint job. So in one of my recent videos of the series, I mentioned that the goal was $400. Spoiler alert, we reached it. And that was more or less to get us started with the paint. So over the last couple weeks, I have been listing some larger items that didn't really make sense to list on eBay due to the shipping costs and the hassles of shipping large items. So Facebook Marketplace has been the method that I've been using to sell items, and it has been a great platform, even though, it involves a lot of coordination and setting up meeting times and people ghosting you and dealing with the more than occasional issues that Facebook Marketplace is known to have. But I was able to reach the goal, and here's what I sold. My very first sale was our old washer and dryer set from our previous home. We are renting that house out, and the washer and dryer were still in working order, but I didn't want to have any kind of issues come up with the new renters within their first year of living there, or first or second year living there, with us having to deal with swapping them out. So, they were kind of reaching towards the end of their life. We've had them for quite a while. And so I did end up listing them for $200 on Facebook Marketplace. And it did sell really quick at that $200 mark, which was great because that's 50% of the goal that we set. We're already halfway there, and that's the first item. Next up, I sold a water cooler thing. It came with this house that we purchased last year, and I listed it untested, but it was in the kitchen and it looked clean and it looked like it had been being used. It was plugged in and everything. It just didn't have any water jug on it, so I couldn't test it. But I did list it as untested, and I kind of mentioned all that, and it did sell really quick. Again, I think the third or maybe fourth person that messaged me sold real quick, and I got $25 cash for that. Now, these first two sales did go really smooth, and I started to think that Marketplace had maybe changed since the last time I used it. But that hope really did die with this next item that did sell. So the next item I ended up selling was a set of 3 tables, a coffee table and 2 end tables. They had a little damage, and it was repairable, so I did list it like that. I showed all the damage. I listed it for $25, and I don't know if I just listed it too low, and that's what kind of caused a lot of interaction, but I'm not kidding when I say I received like 30 or 40 different messages from people that said, is this available, and never responded to anything else. So, and that's not including the other ones that people were interested in and we were talking, and then eventually just didn't work out. But it was kind of a lot to deal with for a $25 item. But, I kept going at it. I had other items I was selling at the time, so I just kind of answered everything, kept it moving, and eventually a very nice gentleman did buy the table, and we set up a porch pickup, and he even left a thank you note with the $25 under the doormat, which I thought was really awesome. And later I saw that he did give me a 5-star rating on Facebook Marketplace, which I think is like my 3rd rating, but hey, that's awesome. So the next thing I sold is a Moses basket. This is something Kathy had found at the Goodwill bins. I don't know how long ago, but it was, large and kind of awkward to try to figure out a way to ship without kind of causing any damage. And so I did list it as a photography prop. That's what Kathy recommended. I think she had seen where it has been used like that, and that's what made her buy it in the first place. And it actually did sell really quick. I did get, I think, 2 or 3 people that were interested, and one of them eventually came out. We did another porch pickup for $30, and that one was smooth. I ended up selling the dishwasher that we took out of this house that we're in now. When we moved in, the appliances were not all kind of the same color. We had a fairly new refrigerator, but like the original stove, microwave, and dishwasher. And so we ended up swapping those out pretty early into moving into the house. Just to make them all stainless steel and unify them as a set. So I ended up listing that dishwasher for $50, and it did sit for a long time. That was one of the first items that I listed, and it did eventually sell for $25. And I also listed at the same time a microwave. And in one of the previous videos, I showed me cleaning it all. I spent a lot of time cleaning up that microwave. The microwave ended up being a pain in the butt because on that one, I had multiple people interested and then just completely ghost me, which I thought was interesting. One of them, I messaged them back saying, "Are you still interested?" And they said, "Oh, we got another one." Someone else, they didn't let me know. And 12 hours had gone by. So at that point, I was kind of fed up with it, and I ended up offering that microwave to the gentleman who purchased the dishwasher. And so I kind of threw it in, and I noticed that he had a stove on the trailer when he came and picked up the dishwasher. So it looked like he was kind of collecting a few appliances for a reason. And so I just offered it, and he said, "You know what? Yeah, that would be awesome." So he took it, and I was happy. And I did sell that for $25. And I do actually remember seeing him hand me $25. But at some point, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. $10 of that 25. I'll probably end up finding it in a pocket or somewhere along the way, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that I sold that stuff for $15 just so that my books make sense. But I did end up losing $10 for whatever reason. All right, so next up, I ended up selling an oversized recliner chair that came with the house. When we bought this house, there was various pieces of furniture like the water cooler and chairs and our kitchen table that we use now. All these pieces of furniture ended up just being part of the deal with the house. And so we're just selling off the stuff that we don't really want to keep. It's a very large and oversized recliner. It is very comfortable. It just didn't really fit in anywhere with our existing furniture that we brought over, or Kathy's been working on getting other rooms set up and all that, and it just didn't really fit in with the rooms. So we ended up listing that one for $100 on Facebook Marketplace, and that one actually sold really quick, really easy, for $80 cash. Gentleman was like, "Hey, I'm in town, I could be there in 30 minutes," and boom, it was gone. So that one was really awesome, $80. And so the last thing that sold was a dresser. Now we had in our last house, we had a furniture set, nightstands and 2 dressers that all kind of matched. And at some point over the last year, we've sold off the nightstands, and the other dresser is being used up in our guest room now. But we didn't really have anywhere to put this last dresser. And so I just ended up listing it for $100. It was in really good shape, even though we had been using it daily for about 10 years. I listed that for $100, and I think in about 3 or 4 days, it ended up selling for $75. I did have on that one quite a few people kind of going back and forth. I had one guy just send me a message of $50, and I just said no thanks, but because I had other people interested at the time. But I might have taken $50 if there wasn't as much interest, but yeah, ended up taking 75, helped load it up, and that one was the last item to sell so far. And so with all of the sales that we've had over the past couple weeks, we have cruised right past our $400 goal, and we're sitting at $450 plus another $35 roughly from some previous eBay sales that we've made for the Skoolie in the past. But this means that we're able to start buying supplies and the things that we need to start the paint job. And so originally when I was coming up with a $400 goal, that was a pretty rough estimate. I had not really written anything down. I just kind of watched a few YouTube videos on other people and what they've experienced, and just my past experience of knowing how much paint and stuff costs. Looking back at it now, it does seem like it's a pretty close estimate. It might be a little bit under, but I think we're definitely at a place where we're going to start buying supplies and ordering things so that we can start that process of getting it prepped, because that is going to take quite a bit of time to get it prepped. And so I've actually worked on an Amazon order for some supplies to get started, and I'm going to go over that with you real quick just to kind of let you guys know what I'm going to be spending some of the budget on. But we're already up to spending almost $100, and that's not even including paint. So first off, I'm going to get a couple of these rubber eraser wheels. This is great for removing like decals and stuff, which I mean, it's a school bus. It does have, quite a few decals on it. I'm going to get 2 to start. They're, I don't know, about $9 each. I'm probably going to use more based on the things that I've read about them, but it's definitely going to help me get through those decals quickly. Another item I'm going to be getting are these rust remover wheels. They can either go in my angle grinder. I'm going to get these little ones too that fit in a drill just for some, finer detail work. I have actually used this product before, maybe not this product exactly, but these items before as a maintenance guy in the past. Yeah, these will get rid of rust and paint where I need to get rid of that stuff, but it won't eat into the metal. So I'm gonna get a few of these things here, and then I'm also going to be getting some of this spray rust converter. I'm gonna use this to treat the spots where I'm treating the rust or getting rid of the rust and paint, just to leave the metal not raw. I'm gonna try to use it as a primer and try to keep that rust from spreading. So I'm getting a few cans of that. I did also recently order an oscillating multi-tool. I'm not going to include the cost of that with the money that we're raising for the Skoolie, mostly because I'm going to be using that, just in personal life also. If I do end up buying some more attachments for the tool, I'll end up adding those in. But, it was pretty inexpensive already. It's like $40, but I do plan on using that for more than just the school bus. So that's what I'm getting from Amazon right now. It does total up to like $96 before taxes. That's already almost a quarter of our goal. But I do think that does leave us enough room for getting some paint and then also having some money left over to be able to replenish some stock so that we have more stuff to sell, because that's also a really important part of the challenge. We have to have stuff to sell. Now for the paint itself, I did originally want to have like a high quality auto paint, but after watching some more videos and doing some more research, I do think it's a superior product, but I don't know if it's going to make sense for our use on the bus. I do think it's going to be too expensive and time consuming. It will look a lot better, but I mean, we're making a school bus RV that we're going to be taking into the woods and across the country maybe. And so I don't know if it just really makes that much sense. I think I'd much rather have less expensive paint that I could easily patch and repair or redo if we have to in the later on in the future. So I think I'm going to do what a lot of other Skoolie builders do and use an oil-based enamel. It's not going to have the high gloss finish. In fact, it's going to be probably like pretty flat or matte satin, maybe, and it will have a little bit of a texture to it. But I think it's going to be a lot easier to patch, and we're going to be having to cut some holes in the walls of the bus at some point. And I'd hate to be so afraid to like do anything to the paint after we're done painting it. So I think it just makes a lot more sense to go this route, and the paint is more available and more affordable. So it really does just makes sense. It's way more practical. I do think the prep work on the paint is going to take quite a while, maybe up to a few weeks. So once we get closer to getting the bus fully prepped, that's when we'll start figuring out exactly the paint and the cost and all that on the paint. I think the paint's roughly $30 to $50 a gallon. And, if we have a lower sheen, more flat, I think it's even less expensive that way too. So, and if you have any experience with painting a Skoolie or using paint in general, I would love to have any kind of advice or tips, or maybe you want to suggest a paint color. I would love to hear what you guys think. We have a little bit of time to lock something in, maybe designs or color schemes or stuff like that. But we definitely are going to get this prep work done, because no matter what color, we do need to do that work anyway. Okay, so with most of the big items sold through Marketplace, next I'm going to be listing these smaller items. I've got a lot of DVDs and games and books and stuff that I do have for this project. I've been accumulating them over the past few months, or just things that we are, ready to get rid of. And also part of the budget is going to be going towards replenishing these items so that I can keep selling on eBay, so we can keep growing our fund for the build. And actually recently I spent $5 of our budget at the Goodwill bins and I bought some items. We actually mentioned that in one of our recent videos. But there's about $70 worth of profit potential from that $5 at the bins. So I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time at the bins for this build. So over the next few weeks while I'm prepping the bus for paint, I'm also going to be listing the stuff on eBay and replenishing some of the stuff as needed. So make sure you subscribe so you can follow along to the project. There is a playlist. Make sure you follow that playlist for everything Skoolie related with the channel. Once we get the paint all done, we'll start figuring out what the next big goal is and what our next milestone is. But honestly, I think once the paint is done, we're going to be able to start cruising away on the interior. And that's where I think I'm going to be better at knowing what to do. I am a woodworker by trade, so I think that's where I'm going to be able to shine, hopefully. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you could follow along. And while you're down there, hit that like button and leave a comment so that we know you're here. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out and watching this one and joining along with this Skoolie adventure. And I can't wait to see how it turns out. And I really can't wait until we could start driving it around and using it, because we've been seeing some places where we could drive, and I'm getting antsy for it. I really want to go. So make sure you don't miss it. All right, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.